Welcome back to today's Explainer. Right now, we're diving into something absolutely mind-blowing. We're going to break down the hyper-realistic, meticulous process of assembling a miniature motorcycle from scratch. But let me tell you, this isn't just your standard model building. This is an absolute masterclass in craftsmanship and sensory design.
So, how do you actually build a working V-twin Legend entirely from scratch in miniature? Well, picture this. You step into a cozy wooden artisan studio. Warm morning sunlight is streaming through these dusty windows, lighting up a workspace where every single tiny component is completely handmade. We're talking polished steel, aluminum, brass, real leather, rubber, and wood. The atmosphere is totally calm and relaxing, letting the craftsmanship entirely speak for itself.
And when they say hundreds of tiny handcrafted parts, they literally mean it. The sheer microscale precision required to pull this off is just staggering. The artisan isn't snapping together cheap plastic pieces. They are meticulously working with raw, authentic materials to craft a final product that looks and feels shockingly real.
Now, what makes this whole setup so captivating is the audio vibe. There's absolutely zero background music here, no narration track. Instead, you're treated to this incredibly immersive ASMR experience. You get the soft metallic clicks, the exact sound of a tiny screwdriver turning, the wrench tightening down a bolt, and the gentle rubbing of polished steel. It draws you right in.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the Artisan Workshop.
So checking out the workbench inventory, the staggering complexity sitting there is like a giant puzzle just waiting to be solved. You've got the V-twin engine block, the pistons, crankshaft, transmission gears, clutch assembly, fuel tank, the whole shebang. Through these gorgeous cinematic macro close-ups, you can actually see real machining marks and metal textures on the tiniest components, right down to the foot pegs, mirrors, and literally every single nut, bolt, and washer.
Moving smoothly onto Section 2, framing the foundation. You can almost feel the dedication here. The build starts from the ground up by constructing the steel frame. Every single bolt is threaded and tightened by hand using these incredibly tiny wrenches and screwdrivers. Then, the artisan perfectly aligns the frame before mounting the front forks, swing arm, and rear suspension. And honestly, the audio detail here is wild. When they lubricate the wheel bearings and slowly fit the tires, you can actually hear the realistic sound of the rubber stretching into place.
Which brings us to the mechanical heart of the bike in Section 3, assembling the V-twin engine.
Just like a full-scale Harley Davidson, this miniature engine needs absolute, spot-on alignment. The piston slides so smoothly into the polished cylinders, and get this, the crankshaft rotates naturally. Piece by piece, the connecting rods, camshafts, valves, and timing gears go in. It all builds up to these incredibly satisfying acoustic metallic clicks as the clutch, gearbox, and transmission slide right into place.
Okay, next up is Section 4, Paint, Polish, and Details.
It is seriously amazing comparing the raw materials to the finished beauty. We go from raw brass and primed surfaces to a glossy, deep black fuel tank with Harley Davidson-inspired detailing and a mirror-like clear coat. The chrome exhaust pipes are polished so well they reflect the entire workshop. And that raw leather? It's transformed into a beautiful seat, complete with realistic, crisp stitching sounds as it's put together. Before we can even think about firing this up, we have to make the final connections and add the fluids. The handlebars, throttle, and levers are installed. The whole nervous system, speedometer, wiring harness, battery, headlights, is secured with these ultra-tiny clips. Then, the engine oil, brake fluid, coolant, and fuel are poured in super slowly. To top it off, the artisan gives it a full detail, conditioning the leather and meticulously wiping away every single fingerprint so the chrome is completely flawless.
Now for the absolute best part, Section 5, Ignition and ASMR Startup. I really want you to put yourself in this moment. The mechanic slides in the ignition key and turns it. Instantly, the tiny dashboard lights illuminate. There's this brief, suspenseful pause before the starter button is pressed, and then, boom! The handcrafted V-twin comes alive with a deep, ultra-realistic rumbling idle.
The sensory output here is just off the charts. You can literally see tiny vibrations moving through the motorcycle frame, while that polished exhaust pushes out perfect, satisfying rhythmic pulses. And balancing out that heavy engine rumble, you can hear the authentic outdoor workshop ambiance in the background, a gentle wind, distant echoes, and birds chirping. It is surreal.
Finally, we've arrived at Section 6, the Sunset Horizon Ride.
So to actually capture this creation out in the wild without it looking like cheap CGI, the visual specs have to be top tier.
We're talking 8K HDR, volumetric lighting, and global illumination that brings out those photorealistic materials. The macro photography and smooth camera movements completely sell the illusion, making this hyper-detailed miniature look massive and utterly real.
And the final journey plays out like a sweeping, cinematic timeline. At sunrise, we're riding slowly down a peaceful countryside road. By mid-morning, golden sunlight is reflecting perfectly off the chrome while those iconic exhaust notes ring out. As the afternoon rolls on, the bike passes forests, rivers, and wooden bridges, before finally coming to rest against a stunning sunset on a scenic hilltop overlook.
It's quite a journey, right? And it leaves you with a pretty massive question. When miniature precision and these insane sensory details feel this incredibly real, where exactly is the line between a simple model and a true mechanical masterpiece? Think about the pure dedication it takes to breathe actual life into tiny pieces of polished steel and rubber. It absolutely redefines what craftsmanship means, and that is a pretty amazing thing to take away from our explainer today.